things are starting to get kicked into high gear, heading towards full gear. Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Kevin Zwicker from Fast Count coming at you. And before I get into this video, please remember to like the video and subscribe. It helps the channel out in more ways than you even know. Plus, it's free. So as we all know, AEW Full Gear is 2 weeks away. And in tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite, you saw a lot of matches be building and storylines progressing, heading towards that event. We saw things pop off between Swerve Strickland and Bobby Lashley, MJF and Adam Cole storyline progressed. We saw tonight, it was announced that we were going to get Kyle Fletcher versus Will Ospreay. And we got announced today that the Continental Classic will kick off 2 weeks from today in the Winchester Arena in Chicago, where my boy AJ Schreiber will be attending his first AEW event. Hey, what's going on, AJ? But what I really want to talk about tonight is the segment between Orange Cassidy and Jon Moxley. Now, Orange Cassidy will be going one-on-one with Jon Moxley for the AEW Championship at Full Gear. And tonight's episode of Dynamite, the segment that involved Jon Moxley was advertised as Jon Moxley and the Death Riders will be taking over the Superstation, which is what the old heads in the WCW days used to call TBS. And what I really like about how they present this group is Jon Moxley is the AEW champion, but we never see him hold it across his shoulder. We never see him rocking it around his waist. We only know he has a championship because Maria Shafir carries it in a briefcase, but it's never shown. And we see Jon Moxley come into the arena, walk with his flank of goons, the other members of the Death Riders, and we see him push around the cameramen. We see him hop in the middle of the ring, and this group basically states the mission statement that they have been stating for the last several weeks. They are here to mold AEW in their image. They are the ones with the power because Jon Moxley is the AEW champion. He is the guy who calls the shots, especially with the Elite gone, which I think will play in later down the line. And they're basically saying, we are going to brutalize Orange Cassidy at Full Gear. Jon Moxley is going to make an example out of Orange Cassidy because Orange Cassidy is a day one AEW guy, and he is somebody who Jon Moxley sees as one of the problems with AEW. And we hear a guy, which was kind of funny. We hear a guy in the middle of Jon Moxley's promo, shout out, go back to Roman. As we know, Roman Reigns, he's a fifth guy for his Survivor Series team at War Games. So it's kind of funny that they threw that out. Basically, reminding people of the history that he has with Roman Reigns. And we see Orange Cassidy come out, right? And he's flanked by Rocky Romero and Mark Briscoe. And we see the two differences between the guys right off the rip. Jon Moxley is this very brooding, serious character. And as we know, if you've watched AEW for a expanded amount of time, Orange Cassidy is this goofy, kind of dry humor, sense of humor type of guy. And it's just the two opposite characters. It's really interesting to see the dynamic between each other. Mox and Orange Cassidy talk about their history that they had before. They've had multiple matches throughout AEW's history. And the one common denominator that the two guys had, and I didn't link this in my mind earlier, which I should have, is the fact that they were both in groups with Wheeler Yuta. And Cassidy talks about how Wheeler is a pawn in Jon Moxley's game, and he wants to take out that pawn. And that pawn will go one-on-one with Orange Cassidy next week and the go-home show before Full Gear. And we see the two walk out. We see the Death Riders make their exit, heading towards the fan section. And we see out of nowhere a guy in a purple mask jump off of, I don't even know what you would call that. I guess you would call it like the little entrance arena that they have where the corridor section where you're leaving out when you're the audience. And he jumps on top of the Death Riders. They brawl outside and they try to escape in a pickup truck, which they've been riding in those vignettes they started Dynamite with for the last several couple weeks. And they stop and he's brawling with Claudio, and you see Claudio spin Darby Allin. And he's doing the spin thing, but then he spins him and he hits him on like a garage door. It was very reminiscent, not the exact spot, but it felt very reminiscent to when Kevin Nash kind of threw Rey Mysterio like a lawn dart. Darby Allin is kind of this guy who's like this crash dummy where it's like, if you want to experiment these crazy badass spots, you would involve Darby Allin in it because he's the guy who's crazy enough to say yes to do it. And it was very reminiscent of that moment. We know this is going to be the main event. I'm going to go with Jon Moxley's going to win that match, obviously, because I feel like the storyline is something that has been very meticulous in the way that they've been planning it. And it's been very time consuming. And if you've read the reports, Tony Khan has kind of given Jon Moxley carte blanche to do whatever he wants with the storyline, which is a good thing and a bad thing. If you guys follow movies, you hear a lot of times, oh, this movie dealt with a lot of like studio interference, or this show had a lot of like input or notes from the studio, and that comes with a lot of like negative a lot of negative context involved in it. But sometimes, a studio needs to get involved, and a good example of that is Joker 2 that just came out. Todd Phillips, the director of that movie, was given carte blanche, creative freedom to do whatever he wants. And that movie was a disaster critically and financially. So I'm hoping that this storyline that Jon Moxley has been crafting and has been given carte blanche to do whatever he wants will not be a Joker 2 and will be a movie that any example you could think of that had very little studio interference, and let the artists do what they do. And I'm hoping that this storyline is a success and it's the shot in the arm that AEW really needs at the moment. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. How did you feel about tonight's AEW Dynamite? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Are you feeling this storyline that Jon Moxley is involved in? Who do you think is going to win at Full Gear? Do you even care who wins at Full Gear? Let me know in the comment section. Like I said earlier, please remember to like the video and subscribe. I am Kevin Zwicker. I'm out.